Go.
Streaming from South Africa to the world. This is the Stonks Go Moon podcast. What just happened? We break it down so you don't have to.
Welcome everyone to the Stonks Go Moon podcast. Today I've got a very special guest. His name is Scott Andrews and he's an account manager at Forex Briefcase. Scott, how are you?
I'm very well. I love the name too, Stocks Go Moon. That's great.
Yeah, that's insane, especially with Elon on SNL. I actually missed SNL. I wondered if he tweeted Doge and if that's any indication of where it's going to go. But Scott, tell me, account manager, that's a very fancy title. What exactly does it stand for and what do you do?
I appreciate that compliment. I would say in simple terms, what I would do is, so Forex Briefcase is we trade the Forex markets and I'm responsible for, just dealing with current clients. And then also, particularly in Australia, we're looking, to, I guess, raise more capital and, get some more investors involved. So I'm more involved with that side of things. So I don't trade the client's capital. So I'm not a professional trader, but, I've got an interest in it and I'm more just there to, I guess, get investors, involved.
Yeah. So that's the interesting point about the trading aspect. You must have gotten started somehow. And I've spoken to a lot of people and there's a right way and there's a wrong way. Do you want to tell me what the wrong way is? And then we'll segue into the right way.
I have a couple of things written down. Normally, I've made a lot of YouTube videos. I don't really plan anything. I just do it in one take. But I thought I would put a lot of effort in this. And the first thing, Rocco, that came to my mind was, think about doubling your account straight away. So I do trade as well, but obviously, more smaller scale. Yeah. And I would say that would be the number one thing that I found was that's really when things go bad, to be honest.
No, I'm with you because people tend to ask me, listen, can I leave my day job and within the first month or two? And I'm like, but that's the same as asking, can I go and become a doctor within the first 2 months and just quit my day job? And quitting your day job and to go and trade full time is a very bad idea. Is that sort of what you're touching on?
That's perfect. And I think someone that, taught me, the ways of Forex, he talked about, it's, back testing and things like that. And you want to think about being a pilot like that. Will they let a pilot just fly a plane the first day? Like you've got to do, I don't know, hours and hours, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours in, simulated environments before you're given, but people can open an account straight away. And we've seen that with Robinhood and it was just Reddit, which is, fun. But some of these kids are going to ruin their lives financially.
Yeah. So,
scary.
So it's for me, it's about education and building the screen time, like you say, because I always feel that taking an account or burning an account, whatever you want to call it, that's sort of a rite of passage. Wouldn't you agree? Because we've all done it. We've all been there. We've all blown accounts. I don't think you can call yourself a trader if you haven't.
I agree. Yeah, you've got to, you try certain algorithms that end up being martingale. You just learn.
It's like, why are we so afraid of failure? Like, I'm the first one to say, hey, I've done it. So what makes you unique that you haven't blown an account? If you haven't blown an account, I can't take you seriously.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you've got to, that's right.
So you've talked about algorithms there. Tell me, do you have a favorite indicator or algorithm? And if so, how exactly does it work?
So I did think about this long and hard, and it's something that I came about last year. I did an intensive trading course for a prop firm to trade crypto intraday. I ended up not really going on with it, but in TradingView, there's an indicator called SFL, levels that matter, and this
SFL. Okay, in TradingView. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it just essentially shows you it's pretty much support and resistance levels. So, and it shows the daily open, the weekly open, the monthly open, yesterday's high and low price, and then last week's high and low price. So it just shows you significant points of the chart where, as a trader, you want to be watching. Because I think once we all begin trading, I mean, when you open MT4 or whatever, or especially MetaTrader 4, if you're Forex based, you get like all these indicators. You're like, what am I looking at? And you're just like, and then they even encourage you to utilize the expert advisors, which are, things, they're algorithms that are developed by experts. And it's like, oh my God, like you can easily blow money straight away. It's actually, criminal, some of the things that these brokers do. And I don't want to go on this tangent, but I mean, SFL really, it just helps you identify points in the market where you shouldn't be buying or you shouldn't be necessarily selling. Because a lot of retail, people are getting in late, and it just helps protect yourself a little bit instead of messing around where, the probabilities aren't in your favor. I mean, also like the simple moving average, it just sort of shows you the trend
But
a
I
little
like
bit
that.
easier.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
like what you're saying, because for me, the number one or the fundamental building blocks of technical analysis is support and resistance. It's trading towards and away. And if you know where those key resistance and support levels are, I mean, you can call it line in the sand, you can call it whatever. It does help. And I mean, like you say, trading at the end of the day is probability. So if you know you're on major resistance, don't go and looking for continuation in that, or rather look for the rebound or whatever. That makes a very big difference. And I think people can go and look at it. Speaking of the markets, I think you've got a unique Asian perspective, just because you're in that time zone. I mean, for me, I'm a GMT +2, so we can go DAX, we can go Euro markets, and then we can go from Euro markets, we can go to the US markets. But if I wanted to actually intraday trade the Asian markets, the time zone is not really, it doesn't suit me that well. But I mean, the markets are drifting quite a bit. Do you have any short or medium views on the Asian market specifically?
So with this question, what I first came to think about was Forex. So, I mean, in regards to the Aussie dollar, I'll talk about that first. So look, where we're currently trading at, so Australia is very dependent on, the export really of iron ore, and that's helped us dramatically, even though the relationship with China is strained. And I won't go into all of that. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But what I see really is that it heads towards 80 cents. And I pay close attention to this because I do have investments in US dollars. So I do hedge a little bit, probably, a considerable amount of money for me personally. So I have to be aware of it because, I want to avoid, these headaches, especially, from August last year when I started putting money into stocks in the US and everything, it rose from 70 cents to like 78 cents. So if you're not aware of that, that's your value eroding of what you've done. So that's why it's important to understand the markets. But anyway, so I see it going to 80 or so. And then, it's honestly, I see something's going to have to break. We've got iron ore highs.
I'm laughing because I think we're all sitting on that precipice of, hey, we can't keep drifting like this. Something needs to give here.
Well, that's right. And then obviously then to talk about the US dollar, and in the short term, I just see it, moving a little higher, because there are, with your previous person on, Simon Ree, he talked about, it's right now there's jawboning going on and whatnot. And it just seems that the market, although Friday night was interesting and that there was some jitters. So there's still, there are still some fears there, but I see it just, maybe going a little bit high, maybe to 92, 93 on the index, and then coming back down, and then we hold again. And then I guess maybe come early next year, people are going to be like, there'll be a full year of economic growth and whatnot, and especially if wage growth is happening. And like Simon mentioned, the narrative, and that's where I'll be bailing. I've got US stocks and everything. I'm heavy in actually. I'll be honest. I got into ARKG in February. So, and I still hold those positions, and I will just, I'm an idiot, but some of my trades have been really good. And, I've still held everything. But, like Apple is, I held Apple through the dip as well. I held everything.
Well, I mean, Apple just showed 4%. So that's not bad. Yeah. But what I mean is so I'd rather. Okay, so here's my take. I would say I would tend to agree with you and say I'd rather sit on cash early than too late. And that's basically where we're at the moment. Is how long do I ride this wave? When do I cut off? When do I cut the 3/4? And when do I sit on all cash? Because it is coming, and I think just people. So just to summarize from an Asian perspective, check the prices of the iron ore and check the prices of USD. Compared to your currency, and then you should be fine. Yeah,
I mean, you're in probably the best time zone to trade because the Asian session doesn't really offer many opportunities, to be honest. I trade the ASX a little bit, the Australian Stock Exchange, but that's, the mood there is very drifty sideways, to be honest.
It's drifty sideways anyway. The DAX was in a mood this morning, went up, went down. I mean, the volatility is good for intraday, but for long-term investments, it's really uncertain at the moment. Scott, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your views and you doing this. For the people that want to check you out and what you do, where can they find you and where can they find Forex Briefcase?
I think the simplest thing would be to go on LinkedIn and then just search for Scott Andrews, and my association with Forex Briefcase would come up. And then the second way would just to be to go to the website at www.forexbriefcase.com just to get some more info, and you can contact us through there as well. So those would be the two best ways.
That's awesome. And to our listeners, peace, love, and prosperity. And we'll check you in the next one. Cheers.